Could you imagine facing almost 10 years in prison, all because you wanted to film some wacky little pranks solely for views on TikTok? Because that's exactly what we're going to be talking about today. Now, for a lot of you that already use TikTok, I'm sure you've already seen who this guy is in some capacity, whether that's through one of his own videos or someone else on TikTok reacting to him. But for those of you that either don't have TikTok or just haven't seen this guy at all, the person that we're talking about today goes by the name Heston James, and he pretty much has two pranks that he specializes in, with the first one being the one that he gained the most popularity from, being him basically going into stores and screaming as loud as he can until an employee catches on to him, where he'll basically just say, "Oh no, that wasn't me, I don't know what you're talking about." Go to a different location in the store and repeat it until they eventually find out that it was him. He also managed to level this prank up where he'd get what's called a backup screamer, so when they basically do catch on to him and find out that it 100% is him, he'll just have one of his buddies like a few aisles over just scream as loud as he can as well, and basically trick the employee into thinking that they've actually been harassing the wrong individual the entire time. We're also of course going to be watching a few examples of these pranks later on, but the second one kind of follows suit with the first one of harassing employees, but he'd basically go into a store or just any establishment and act like he's some sort of HR manager or corporate, and he'd basically talk to the actual managers and tell them that he's bringing in a ton of his own employees under the guise that he's actually some sort of manager, but it's basically just him bringing in a ton of fake employees. Now, one thing you might have been able to pick up on so far by not only the way that I've been kind of putting pranks in quotation marks, and just by the nature of these pranks, they're not really pranks at all. They're kind of more of just going into whatever establishment you can find and harassing the workers for views. And it also seems like the police thought the exact same thing, because recently Heston James, with his real name being Heston Cobb, was arrested on July 23rd and booked on 13 different charges, including 1 count of third-degree burglary, 2 counts of criminal impersonation, 5 counts of disorderly conduct, and 5 counts of criminal trespass. And if he is convicted of all of these, he's looking at about 9 years and 8 months in prison. And even though I already knew what I was getting into while making this video, I almost accidentally even said 9 months there, knowing that he was facing almost 10 years, because just saying that he's facing almost 10 years for these pranks that, albeit they are basically just borderline harassment, I personally really don't think they warrant almost a decade in prison, and we'll get into more of that later. Because what I kind of want to talk about now is honestly just the severity of these pranks, because I've been seeing a ton of mixed opinions online, with some people pretty much defending him tooth and nail, and others basically just crucifying him, saying he's a plague to existence, to the likes of someone like Johnny Molly or Jack Doherty. And I kind of just want to see what side of the fence you guys are on, or maybe you're just in the middle, because at least for me, I'm definitely more in the middle on this situation. Because like I said, even though these pranks are kind of just borderline harassment, and most of the time they just end up ruining the day of everyone involved that's not on his side of the prank, really, when it does come down to it, it's nothing too outrageous. Now, if it encourages other people to do it, which, I mean, it probably definitely will, that's where it really gets, like, bad, but the pranks themselves alone aren't awful. At worst, it's just like a minor inconvenience to your day, because it's not like he's just staying in these stores for fucking hours at a time, just halting people's progress. And before I get too deep into talking about whether these pranks are secretly an evil idea straight from the Sinister Six or not, I did say that we'll be taking a look at a few examples of some of his pranks, so before we go on, I'm gonna just pull up a few of those. Oh my god, what the fuck?!
We need to get spots this.
Come on! Everyone, get to work! Everyone, get to work! Everyone! Yo, everyone, take that tire off! Take that tire off, quick! I got something for you, yo. Everyone, check oil! Check the oil! Hey man, what the fuck?!
I heard that too.
We don't know. We thought it was whoever came in.
No, yeah, no, I heard it too.
Hey man, what the fuck?!
You guys want to yell?
No, why would we have yelled? I heard
Because
it.
I heard a younger man yelling, and you guys are going to do that. I need you guys.
No, I heard it too.
I hear it again.
No, well, don't blame me. I'm a professional.
Fuck!
From a different location.
Let's get this ironed out. Check your HR emails. We were going into a different one. They didn't need us there. They sent us here.
You guys are good to go.
What do you mean we're good to go? Go ahead and bring the guys in.
You're not even on the phone, dude. Come on, get out of the store.
See if I was on the phone or not. Here. You guys can get to work. We're all good. Everyone get to work. If you guys want to go ahead and take over the lanes, go ahead.
Get out.
Hey, out.
No, go ahead and take over the lanes. Go ahead and I need people at self-check.
You need to get out
I'm the district, and these are my workers.
Now, like you've seen from those clips, there is an argument to be made for some of them that it might be stretching it a bit to call it harassment, but regardless, every single one of these is at least undeniably a disturbance of peace. And also what I can see from most of these videos, and what seems to be the case going around, is that the main videos that really got him in trouble weren't even the ones that he got popular off of being him screaming in the stores. The ones that really got him and racked up most of the charges were the ones that he'd impersonate employees or other types of workers, with a few of the standout notable ones being the one where he went into a Chipotle with his gang of workers and they were going into the back and taking cleaning supplies and things like that and actually using them, and the other one where he brought in his own team of mechanics and they just start grabbing random tools, screwing the wheels off of people's cars, and that one might be a bit of a stretch. I don't think they actually removed the wheel off of anyone's vehicle, but they definitely at least put the like tire irons and shit like that on the wheel to make it seem as if they were. But going back for a second to what we were talking about before we took a look at some of these clips with whether these are actually truly the evil pranks ever or not, and before I even say this, I want to immediately say it up front that I'm not saying that I defend, support this guy, or support any of these pranks in any capacity, but what I do want to say is I feel like people are definitely blowing it a bit out of proportion. Like I said, some people are basically crucifying him over these pranks, saying that he's basically just harassing these employees down to their core, and he's ruining their pathetic day at work that they already hated, and the only people that are defending him are either kids or have never had a job in their life. And to that, I kind of just want to say, as someone that's had multiple jobs and has worked at several different grocery chains, including a lot of the ones that he liked to go into, like Target and Walmart, I know that my opinion probably isn't shared by most workers, but people are under this strange misconception that just everyone at these jobs is either absolutely miserable, 100% committed to their work and nothing else, or really a combination of those two. Because unless you fit into either of those categories, which I know some workers do, but it's definitely not majority of them, especially not that fit into both categories. I'm pretty sure almost no grocery chain worker genuinely cares about their job, but unless you fit into honestly probably both of those categories, these pranks really won't affect you as a worker, because at worst, what'll he do? Set your entire workflow progress back like 20 minutes at absolute max? Who cares? You just work there. And like I said, I know my opinion won't be shared across a lot of different workers, but honestly the part that I just wouldn't like the most is them shoving a camera in my face. Other than that, I'd kind of be welcome to it, because working at a grocery store kind of sucks and is boring by nature, so this would honestly kind of just spruce up my day a bit. And like I said, this isn't me saying I agree with it or anything like that, and what I'm really saying here is that it's not quite as bad as a lot of people are making it out to be. A lot of people are saying that him doing this is basically just destroying the worker's day and or career, and I'm just like, no, that's not the case at all. Like I said, unless you truly care about your job and that 20-minute setback is gonna eat away at your soul for the rest of your life, which if you're just a normal worker and you care that much about your job, you have bigger issues on your plate, because whether you stock 20,000 items an hour or 2 items an hour, you're getting paid the same amount. But I think that's enough for now on whether the prank is truly evil or not, and it's time to talk about how him facing almost a decade for this is evil. Because like I said, even though the prank by nature just really isn't good and everyone involved that isn't on his side of the prank kind of has to suffer to at least some degree, albeit very minor, even with that, it doesn't warrant anywhere close to 10 years. And I know that, of course, just because you're charged with a bunch of things doesn't mean that you're guaranteed to get the maximum max sentences on all of them, which is pretty much 100% gonna be the case here. I don't really see any world where he actually gets charged with the maximum sentencing of everything he's been charged with here, but just the fact that he's looking at 10 years alone is crazy enough and really brings up yet again how broken the justice system in the US is. And a great example to that is literally the state that he's currently being charged in of Arizona. Just a few months ago, they had a case where their former state senator, Tony Navarrete, was convicted of sexual conduct with a minor, and he got a 1-year prison sentence, which is basically saying that you can get significantly more jail time for doing, really for the most part, in the grand scheme of things, harmless pranks than someone who's committed actual violent crimes. And I also forgot to mention that not only did he only get a year, but even to start with, he was overall facing less time than Heston here. And like I keep saying, I just want to restate one last time, this isn't me trying to justify what Heston did here or anything like that. It's really just me saying this punishment really isn't warranted at all for what he did. But with that said, that's pretty much it on this situation of yet another TikTok prankster facing jail time for their quote-unquote pranks, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.